Hello and welcome back to another Monster Monday, a series where I draw a creature from D&D and I talk about its lore and its history and what it's like to fight in-game. Now usually this is based on one of your suggestions, and I suppose today is kind of the same, but an awful lot of you have requested or suggested that I draw some of my own homebrew monsters alongside those from various D&D books. So I thought I'd give it a go today. See what you think. Make sure to let me know down in the comments if you'd like to see more of my homebrew monsters, or if I should just stick to official monsters or things that have been published in things like Kobold Press and things like that. Just a couple of announcements before we get started. Yesterday I finally became a YouTube partner. After nearly a year, the process of them reviewing me took just over 6 months. I just wanted to thank you all for your support, for liking and sharing and subbing, for choosing to spend some of your time watching the stuff that I make. If it weren't for all of you watching and enjoying the stuff that I've done here, this couldn't have been possible. And getting paid to be a professional YouTuber and talk about the things that I absolutely love and get to draw on a daily basis is my absolute dream. So thank you so much for your help. This does mean that you've probably started seeing adverts maybe before, during, or perhaps at the end of my videos, which is basically how YouTube is choosing to pay me as a YouTube partner. I get a few fractions of a penny every time someone watches one of those adverts. So hopefully, eventually, once enough people have started watching them, the channel can grow even further. So thank you all for supporting me by watching those adverts. But if you don't want to watch adverts, and you don't want to feel the guilt from using ad block, but you still want to support me, you're very welcome to head over to my Patreon page, where you can donate as little as $1 a month, if you still wanted to support me financially, but not have to watch adverts, and not feel the shame. As another announcement, we just hit 7,000 subscribers on this channel, which is absolutely unbelievable, and it's not long until the anniversary of the channel. My first video was posted on the 1st of September last year, so I'd like to do something big for hitting this many subscribers and for having been around for a year. So from now until the 1st of September, make sure to send in some questions on any of my videos, and I'll answer them in a Q&A video. Maybe put video question in brackets or something like that so I don't answer them normally. But if I don't get around to everybody's comments, I'll probably try and answer them in the Q&A anyway. But also, I have another copy of Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes, and I thought what would be really fun is, after a year of me drawing you guys monsters on a Monday, I'd like to see some of your drawings. So why don't you send in a drawing of your favourite D&D monster, or even something you've homebrewed yourself. Send it to my email, which is info.arcaneforge@gmail.com. There's a link down in the description, and I'll feature some of the submissions that you guys send in that video, and also my favourite will win a copy of Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes. So you'll need to be ready with a postal address as well, so I can send that to you. But we've got a decent amount of time before September, so make sure to send those submissions in, both questions and pictures. But anyway, let's get started with the video. So today's video is about the Void Fox, a creature that I created as homebrew for patrons last month on Patreon. Patrons at a certain pledge level get a little bit of homebrew content from me every single month, whether it's a creature or an NPC or an encounter, a dungeon, a class, a species to play, what have you, a little bit of something random just to spice up their game. And last month they got the Void Fox. With the Void Fox, I wanted to achieve a few things. The first is that I really love the classic trio of the Displacer Beast, the Blink Dog, and the Phase Spider, and I wanted to add something similar with that kind of feel. Secondly, I wanted to explore and utilise some lesser trodden mythological themes. So the Void Fox is a large celestial fox with a starry coat and a chaotic good alignment. And I chose that mostly because a lot of the creatures that I've been drawing recently have been hideous abominations, like the Flesh Golem and the Gibbering Mouther, for example, which are always fun to draw, but I fancy drawing a good guy for once. I wanted to create that feeling that you always get when you first see a Displacer Beast, or your players catch wind of a Blink Dog, and they really want to keep one, they really want to have one on the team, they wanted to ride it into battle, all of your hunters wanted to have it as a pet, that kind of thing. I think a giant sort of direwolf or horse-sized fox with a starry coat seemed like absolutely the ticket for that. Foxes are often depicted as cunning tricksters in mythology. Not often evil, but they're sly and they're often troublesome. The pale fox in West African mythology, Kumalisa in Russian folklore, and foxes in general in Finnish mythology, some Scottish mythology, and things like that always seem to depict foxes as tricksters. I felt that it was important that the Void Fox needed to be associated with a trickster god of some kind. Traditionally, I'd leap at the chance to do something Loki related here, but I recently made in the Magic Item Workshop the Cryptex of Loki, so he's already had his time in the spotlight, and also I'm far more familiar with Greek mythology than I am with Norse. So I thought I'd explore some of the lesser known attributes of the Greek gods, especially as they seem to occupy a few planes of existence in D&D that this thing could have come from. So Void Foxes hail from Arborea, a plane governed in D&D by the Greek gods apparently, but it's also where the Eladrin come from, very sylvan and deified elves, essentially. And as the Displacer Beast and the Blink Dog are both sylvan creatures, this ties them nicely back to that little grouping before. But the god of cunning and of tricks in Greek mythology is Hermes, one of the many sons of Zeus. He's better known as his title as the messenger of the gods, but he's also responsible for things like travelers, thieves, of cunning, the lost, of secrets, also of commerce, because apparently he travels everywhere and can trade with anyone across the world, but also of secretive things like cults and magic to some extent. But really the things that kind of stood out to me, the idea that he's responsible for travellers and of the lost, and I really liked that. So I thought I could style the Void Fox as a guardian or an escort for travellers and people who are lost. Naturally nocturnal, as all foxes are, the Void Fox will appear next to a lone traveller in need, someone completely and hopelessly lost in dangerous forests and glades far from home. I like the idea that this enormous, potentially threatening, again, horse-sized fox might appear silently next to you, walking alongside you as if it has been for your entire journey, just as your last grain of hope dies. They're smart enough, with an intelligence of 6, to understand certain languages, but I didn't think it was right that they should be able to speak. They understand Sylvan and Celestial, so if you know either of those languages as a player, you could ask this fox for help, and it would do its best to help you. But if not, the fox will protect you and guide you to safety and lead you out of your dangerous environment, only to vanish again silently as soon as you reach your destination, leaving you wondering if you'd simply hallucinated that giant beast out of starvation or tiredness. I made the fox chaotic just because of Hermes, but it could easily have been neutral. I didn't want the fox to be discerning about who it looked after, who it shepherded. It would find equal purpose in looking after a lost child who had run away from home, was on the brink of death in a freezing forest, and would similarly aid an assassin having just slain a noble king lost in a nearby forest after trying to escape the authorities. The fox just sees itself charged as the spawn of Hermes to guide travellers. In ancient Greece, there was a term for this kind of hospitality called xenia, Xenia, which literally meant guest friendship, was taken extremely seriously as a tenet of ancient Greek life. Xenos, the word, stems from this phrase and is now often used to mean alien or otherworldly. For example, in the Warhammer 40,000 universe, Xenos are used to refer to creatures that aren't human, and also we have the Xenomorph from the Alien films. But Xenos has a different kind of meaning. Literally, it's something along the lines of stranger or other. It has an implied meaning of a humble stranger. Zeus was responsible for this practice and would often travel in the form of a beggar or someone unfamiliar to you, and would be expected to be taken in by anyone that they fell on the doorstep of, and would punish or greatly reward those who took him in, which popularized the practice enormously. So the Void Fox being a thankless shepherd of the lost seemed very ancient Greek to me. Further, following Hermes' influence, I made the Void Fox an innate spellcaster, using its charisma of 17 to cast the following spells. It can cast Featherfall as often as it likes. It has Darkness and Magic Missile, which it can cast twice a day. I thought Darkness was important because, again, it's nocturnal and supernatural, so it might prefer the dark. And I felt the magic missiles seemed right because these bolts of energy could be the little stars in its fur or stem from the constellations on its back. But it also has blink and plane shift to simulate the travelling powers of Hermes, who could be just about anywhere all over the world whenever he needed to, but also allow the Void Fox to appear and disappear to those in need. Now, Void Foxes need these spells and a few attacks because I saw them as a species that would be highly praised by poachers and hunters for their astral coats, which I imagined could be turned into the robe of stars, the magic item, kind of in the same way that a unicorn is prized for its horn or often for its blood. but I thought being a fox I needed to increase the savagery here, and I went quite wolf-like so that they could defend themselves, or maybe those that they're escorting. I did this by granting them a bite attack, dealing 2d6 plus 3 piercing damage, with the potential to knock someone down, knock them prone. They also have a wolf's keen hearing and smell, most dogs seem to have in D&D, which gives them advantage on perception checks that use their hearing and smell. But also, I thought it was prudent to give them a camouflage skill, giving them advantage on stealth checks made at night, so that their starry coats blend into the night sky. I was also really fascinated with some of the creatures in the Kobold Press Tome of Beasts, namely the Void Dragons in there, and I decided to give the Void Fox a Gravity Breath attack. Now I've made this thing a challenge rating 4, so hopefully I'm not making this too powerful, especially with a breath attack, but you can be the judge. Gravity Breath is an attack that the Void Fox can make, and recharges on its turn if a DM rolls a 5 or a 6 on a d6. With this ability, the Void Fox exhales a 15-foot cube of powerful localized gravity originating from the fox. Falling damage in the area increases to 1d10 per 10 feet fallen. When a creature starts its turn within the area or enters for the first time on a turn, including when the fox creates the field, they need to pass a dexterity saving throw. On a failed save, the creature is restrained, but on a success, the creature's speed is halved, as long as it remains in the field. A restrained creature repeats the saving throw at the end of its turn, and the field persists until the fox's breath recharges, so it can't use this gravity breath again until then. This seemed like a great combo with its bite attack. Perhaps it could breathe this gravity breath and then use its bite attack to knock someone prone, dealing some extra falling damage to them, for example. But I mentioned earlier that also one of the things that inspired me to make this creature was perhaps like a mountable creature, something that someone would want to ride into combat. And I thought was something so elegant and beautiful as a fox that many people would want to achieve this. And in fact, many people in the D&D world that you're playing in that perhaps have not seen a creature as rare as a Void Fox might assume that the person who is managing to ride one is noble, wise, and intelligent, all the traits of the fox. But I thought an interesting way to turn this on its head is the fact that a Void Fox would not normally want to follow someone, who would not normally want to be convinced to be ridden. They have been charged by their creator Hermes to look after, indiscriminately, anyone who finds themselves lost. So I thought an interesting way to turn this on its head would be that a Void Fox would naturally want to follow an adventurer, look after them, be their mount, what have you, if it believed that the person that they were looking after was absolutely hopeless and was lost in a different sense, that they had no direction in their life and they needed constant aid. So there we go, we can have Void Foxes as guardians of the lost in all senses of the word. But anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I definitely loved making it, so again, just let me know if you'd like to see more homebrew creatures, or if I should just stick to the books. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like it, favourite it, and maybe give the video a share as well. We're only tiny void pups ourselves, so we need all the help that we can get. If you like the content that I make and you'd like to see more of it, please make sure to subscribe and press the little bell icon. I make these videos every Monday, and I also try and do some on Fridays as well. Now, I did just give this creature away last month to my patrons, but if you'd like the stats for this monster, please make sure to follow me on Patreon under the Homebrew tab, the Homebrew level, and just send me a message that instead of whatever I'm going to conjure up for my patrons at the end of this month, you'd like the Void Fox instead, and I'll happily give that one to you as well. If you'd like a copy of this drawing, my patrons also get all of my Monster Mondays at certain pledge levels, either as digital or physical prints. But anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. Again, make sure to send in those questions and email me some of your art if you'd like a copy of Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes, and I'll tell you the winner when I do my anniversary video. Until then, make sure to not get lost in the woods, unless you can make yourself look so homeless that a celestial fox will come and look after you, and happy monster hunting.